Returning for the Arizona Cardinals practice field, one Darius Robinson, first round pick for the Arizona Cardinals, somebody that has been a part of our collective mindset with this franchise dating back to when we interviewed him at Super Bowl week in February. Fast forward, he's what, the 27th pick in the draft.
Yeah.
He has what I think, if his training camp wasn't dominant, it was just below dominant. He was, and I tweeted this out, the most impressive front seven, that includes defensive ends and defensive tackle, player that I saw the Cardinals trot out. He physically looked different. He had explosiveness. They played him in one possession in the preseason. They're like, we've seen enough.
Yeah.
And then he has a hamstring injury, and we feared the worst. And thankfully now, after 5 weeks, he hasn't been activated yet, but he is opening. The Cardinals are opening up Big D-Rob's practice window. So, Bo, give me your educated guess. What are we going to see this week? And is there a chance he plays in Green Bay on Sunday?
Yeah, so we asked Jonathan Gannon what his expectations are for D-Rob this week, and it's just, get out there on the grass and just kind of move around. So it seems like baby steps, but this is a big part of this for Darius Robinson and him getting back to the actual playing field and them activating him from his 21-day practice window. So it's hurry up and wait for D-Rob. But at the same time, I mean, just what he could bring potentially back to this defense and what all we've seen in his sample size, which was a preseason opener against the New Orleans Saints, albeit starting offensive line. Yeah. There's a lot to like about Darius Robinson. You talk about, just kind of looking the part. Like he absolutely does. His size, his athleticism, his physicality, his versatility. It's all there. Plus, you match that with his legendary work ethic that he described on draft night, that continued to match what he talked about, and the hype behind D-Rob. We'll hear it from his coaches, everybody around this organization excited about this young man, the defensive equivalent of Marvin Harrison Jr. in a position of just ultimate need for the Arizona Cardinals. So, as you kind of look back on the timeline for Arizona Cardinals, the current regime, and how they've kind of handled players like this, that's where you kind of like, okay, this is nice, but could we see him as early as this weekend in the lineup? That's where you'll be like, okay, maybe not, because, Kyler obviously coming off a more significant injury, a knee injury. Same thing with Garrett Williams. Both those guys had multiple weeks practicing in that window before being activated. I'm hard pressed to kind of think of who didn't have the luxury of a couple weeks. Christian Jones, and he's a guy that needs way more seasoning at the NFL level as a 5th round pick than 27th overall pick Darius Robinson. So could he be kind of the exception to the rule to what we've seen from Gannon and Monty and how they're going to operate as far as returning guys from injured reserve, who started the season there?
Yeah, I'm with you. He's such a big part of their future, and they're going to use, no pun intended, kid gloves with him, right? For lack of a better term. Like it's bigger than just this season. Like, as much as it pains me, you shove that down my throat every show. It's bigger than this season, John. It's a rebuild, right? I also think, like, they'll never come out and say this. Sunday bought them time, bought them credibility, bought them viability. If you're sitting here at 1-4, 1-4, and the defense were to look putrid yesterday, and Jordan Mason goes for 200 yards, maybe there's a bigger sense of urgency. Maybe not, but I happen to think, like, that's how the NFL works, man. There's a sense of urgency, whereas maybe the Cardinals feel like, Green Bay is 3rd in rushing, but Jordan Love is prone to make mistakes. We can scheme it up. We've turned a corner defensively, and it's clicking for guys. I don't know. All I know is they're a better team when Darius Robinson plays. That's a position unit that's starved for talent across the board, and it will be a godsend. Like, I'm very high on Zaven Collins right now. I did some numbers. I did some digging on the advanced metrics. He's been their most productive defensive lineman this year, top to bottom. Like, imagine what Darius Robinson's presence is going to do for somebody like Zaven Collins, who was exceptional against the run yesterday. The Cardinals need D-Rob, but I'm not a patient person, as people of this podcast know. So I selfishly want to see him this week. Let's see how he looks. Like, we got a pretty good idea. Like, Trey McBride was feeling good like 2 weeks ago, but they held him out, and they wanted to be 100% certain, and then he played the following week, right? Like, I could see Darius Robinson looking good and feeling good this week, and the Cardinals are just like, yeah, that's not part of the plan we set for you.
It grosses me out. Like, I wish that they were quick. They had like an itchy trigger finger. Like that they would bring him back. Like that he would, if he pushed and made the case for himself, which he has every ability to do so, that they would be like, you know what? I know we said week 7, Monday Night Football against the Chargers at home. That's our date for Darius. But he looks pretty damn good, and we could use some help there against this stout rushing attack. Like I wish that. Like I wish they were as impatient as you and I. Like,
let me ask you a question though.
Yeah,
because with Kyler, he's playing every snap on offense. You could put Darius on a pitch count, for lack of a better term, on a snap count, and just say you're going to come in on obvious passing downs, and you're gonna play about 25% of the snaps, and we're just going to work you up, right? Whereas K1 last year against Atlanta, it's like how many plays offensively? 60 plus plays or whatever it is. Like you're going to play the entire game. So I think there's some finagling they could do. I'm sure there'd be the temptation, Rallis, get him back in there. We need to stop on 3rd down, but. Like you could go into a game with understanding, like, okay, you have 25 snaps from Darius this week. Do you think they think like that?
I think that they operated like that with Garrett Williams, and I think that they did that. Like it was fantastic how they did that, but they did proceed with extreme caution. Like as soon as his window opened, he wasn't active the following week, or even I don't even think like the next week after that. Like they have the ability, like they won't be tantalized by these guys. I mean, how legendary were Kyler Murray's performances gearing up to come back last year? Like we were
like, what the hell? What's going on?
Yeah. And they were able to kind of pause and say, no, this is a bigger picture thing. And with Darius at 27th overall, like I agree. Like I have no doubt that if they got Darius Robinson out there, if he played 10 snaps like he did against the Saints, like, what did he do in those 10 snaps? Baldy broke it down. It's not just like you and I saying, hey, look good to me. No, this is Brian Baldinger that's looking at the tape and saying, hey, he's drawing a penalty here against Cesar Ruiz. Hey, he's going up against Trevor Penning, who's played multiple seasons in this league. Yeah, good offensive lineman. He's getting push. He's drawing penalties. He's making the quarterback uncomfortable, get rid of the football before he wants to. I don't like... Even if he was on like a 5-play pitch count, like I think that it's up to this team understands that you can be in shape, and Darius Robinson, no doubt about it's in shape, but there's a difference between being in shape and being football shape. Do they want him taking any kind of wear and tear right off the bat? 7 days from when he was officially activated, he'll have 3 days of practice under his belt. I just think it's just a little unrealistic for that to happen this week, as much as I want it on Sunday at historic Lambeau Field.
We all silly like the mayor.